here for Jackie Brown, and I think the most important person is right there, Pam Grier.
Thank you so much. Wet hands. Thank you.
Hey, you're right. It's the greatest hug ever, right here. You're on the far side there.
I love the far side. Like Gary Larson, yeah. Jen, you guys are great, I'm telling you.
I hope you had enough to drink.
Huh?
I hope you had enough to drink for dinner.
No, I didn't drink. I spared you. I didn't have to drink. Y'all ready.
Well, it's a great honor to have you here for the Florida Film Festival, and it's a great personal honor for me. My mom would be so happy to know that I finally, that she was a huge fan. You know, Jackie Brown is really a love letter to your career, but I know that you were introduced to Quentin Tarantino. You had an audition with him that didn't go so well. Could you tell that story about your first audition for Quentin Tarantino a little bit?
Certainly. He wanted me to be the wife of Eric Stoltz. Eric's like 5'6". You know, I said, that's a little freaky. So he likes big women, is that it? And Quentin realized when I came in that I would be a little bit more imposing, a bit more to Eric's character, and no one would believe Eric would be dominating me and telling me what to do. And matter of fact, he'd be resting his head on my shoulder. But Quentin said, I don't want to waste this moment of energy with you, so I'm going to write something for you, so we'll work again. And when I walked into his office, it was, you know, when someone really likes your work and you walk in and there's like 5 movie posters of your work in his office. And these are the original posters that are worth thousands of dollars. They're fabric on one side and they haven't been folded, you know, they've been rolled up. They're really collector's items that you can't buy from him or anyone. And I was just so impressed and moved by it. And it was humbling in a way, but it made my heart race to know that someone really liked my work. That's like someone likes the, you know, your sofa when they come over, you know. It's a nice toilet, you know, flushes just right. So it was that moment of reality of someone who is an artist. And I can compare it to when I was in New York City. I was watching Reservoir Dogs, and they talk about, and all of a sudden, remember Pam Grier? And everyone started screaming. I mean, she's here, and my friends were pointing at me, and I'm like, you know, it was that honor that you never know until it happens to you. And it's the moment of such graciousness and gratitude. You're gonna love it, but it's gonna hit you in your spine where you just go, wow, someone really liked your work, you know.
I should say that we have mics set up around the room. This is definitely an opportunity for you to ask Ms. Grier questions. I'm just starting us off, and I want to follow up on this idea. I know for me as a teacher, when I teach the 1970s, I often talk about blaxploitation, and you are the icon at some level of a sort of feminist action hero, right? Like, I think one of the things about blaxploitation was you were one of the few examples of a positive female role model. I want to ask you
It was positive, but it also, confused a lot of the conservative black males who found me, and they asked me, you know, well, you're doing what we do. You step in a man's shoes. I said, well, I'm from Colorado, and my grandmama was from Wyoming. She had a sugar beet farm and a hotel for the African Americans and Asians that worked on the railroad, a la Blazing Saddles. And Grandmama Lucy, y'all saw that, you saw it. And so my grandfather, the first feminist in my life, Daddy Ray, who was written in my autobiography that I'm hoping Jamie Foxx will play, he said, we're gonna teach all the girls how to hunt, fish, and shoot. And I brought that to film. And so when these city men who were part of political activists, and they were great for the community, said, well, you're stepping into men's shoes, you're shooting and killing, I said, well, you ain't there. Okay, if a man ain't there, a woman got to take care of the home. And Daddy Ray said, and y'all comply, if a woman can do something, a man will respect you. This is what he taught us, all the girls, so we could drive. I speak John Deere. Don't worry about my guns. All these youngins want to date me, and they send their uncles and their dads to meet me. And they said, do you fire all those guns in movies? I said, yes, Steven Seagal gave me a gun, and Miami Vice, they gave me a gun. I've got a collection, and my grandfather gave me, the hunting rifles with the, scopes and crosshairs and stuff. And their eyes start getting big, and I said, don't worry about my guns, just worry about my chainsaw. Sears, Craftsman. Yeah, if I smell something on you like cologne or lipstick when you come in, you in trouble. Don't worry about the gun.
As an actor, what would you think was your biggest challenge in that period when you were sort of defining blaxploitation?
Well, the challenge was I wanted women to not feel that their breasts were monsters and that people were afraid. I wanted to show a cultural attractiveness because African American women weren't the ideal attraction for models, magazines, Playboy, Hustler, any of that. It was, not them, and I wanted them to not feel covered up. I wanted to feel, and which I did when I did the arena. And Stanislavski prepared me when Roger Corman said, Pam, I want you to play these characters. And I said, well, I'm trying to get into film school, and I can't leave my 3 jobs, and I don't know anything about acting, so no thank you, I'm gonna stay on my course. And I had a third attack when I was in California, and I fought off because I was sexually attacked at 6 years old, then again at 18, and then when I went to California at 20, it happened again, but I fought off. And I said, Roger, I'll take your job. And he says, I won't fire you, read Stanislavski. And that's when I realized there's no such thing as a small role. And any role that I do that depicts and focuses on the Afrocentric community, whether it's exploitation, whether it's pimps, whether it's sweeping all the bad stuff under the rug, and you're sanctimonious and everything's good and religious, and it's not. It's hypocrisy, and the women's movement is surging forward. Gloria Steinem, Bella Abzug, Shirley Chisholm, Barbara Jordan. They are orators, they're lawyers saying, we've got to stand up because we're losing our men in Vietnam. So we've got to be the balance for them, take the pressure off a man, but not castrate him and take his role, but be a partner. And that's what I wanted to do. And I had such resistance from conservative black males that they actually came to the office and said, well, we'd really like for you to show other types of characters. And I said, like what? And they said, well, someone who stays at home. And I said, oh, like Grease. Okay, so I did Grease Lightning, and I played Richard Pryor's wife, and I was this home, body, having children, and just saying yes and stuff like that, which, I did it for them. And then I tried to do the Mary Field story, the first female stagecoach driver for the mail route in Montana. And I couldn't get that done because the studio said nobody will believe that a black woman drove a stagecoach. Well, Gary Cooper did, and he wrote about it. And so I was trying to say, I tried, and the studios won't do it. So, but I don't want to be redundant. I did my Coffee, I did my Foxy Brown, I did my Sheba Baby, different characters to show different elements of African American women. And everyone thought, oh, she must live in Los Angeles and eats chocolate and sits by the pool. And I said, no, I live in Colorado and I clean and muck stalls. You know, and they went, what? Why are you there? I'm like, well, I don't have the luxury to live in California. I have to take care of family. My mom was paralyzed. My sister was dying of cancer. And it was like, that's the real world for me. And I'd be in a truck at 3 a.m. in the morning driving to California, you know, trying to, you know, meet and audition and all that. And so there was this assumption that it was just this urban. But I had a wonderful upbringing. It was urban, rural, and military. And I think it was one of the best education for me to be able to bring my experiences to the world, which Stanislavski said, you know, which is, I gained the best respect for the actor of their living the moment. The Neighborhood Playhouse, Robert De Niro, Gene Hackman, Al Pacino, the Lee Strasberg, the Russian acting, the realness. It said, okay, well, Roger Corman, I'm gonna read this book because I don't want you to fire me. So it said, slap the bitch. Okay, so I slapped the bitch. And next thing you know, the trailer, the dailies were fantastic. You know, it wasn't slapping and missing. And you watched The Godfather, where Jimmy Caan is slapping the brother-in-law, and he misses by this much. I was crushed. I said, he can't, no, you gotta retake, you can't use that. And I guess they did it in one take, but you know, it's so authentic to slap the bitch, you know? So I realize the work is so important in the nuances and detail to bring to you. Without the, as I said, without the audience, there is no actor, there is no studio, there is no brand. We wouldn't have Black Panther today. We couldn't have done it 50 years ago. We didn't have a brand. We developed with our actors, with Marvel and DC Comics, they've developed and put the brands out there and gave them good stories that everyone could relate to. And I was trying to, well, there are certain things about, you know, which a lot of people watch the cultural richness of our characters, of our actors, of everything we do that says a story about how a character walks or eats. You know, if you watch Al Pacino in the Francis Coppola films, he's always eating. He's eating an orange. He's eating an apple. He's got tissue in his nose because he's got an allergy, I guess. You know, when he's on the island, you know, he's always got I said, why is it that? It shows a richness in your character. And so I was trying to tell some folks about All Brothers. And you know how I watched a lot of brothers on our TV shows. And you know, you don't get the richness in the culture when you see them kind of, you know, that ain't a brother walking. Come on now. You know, it's like, hey, what it is? Hi, how you doing? How you doing, my man? Say, you know, you gotta have that little walk, and that's the flavor. And like when you watch Jimmy Caan, if you watch his Italianness, if you watch some of the Italian men in the Scorsese or Robert De Niro movies, you know, they got flavor to their walk. And that says who they are. And I miss that, and I have to see that, those little nuances and things that we want to see. And so a part of mine was a woman who wasn't afraid to be a woman and sexy, adult. Right. And I remember when people saw me nude the first time, like they were bringing their sons 3-4 times. To the theater, sneaking them in the back, and I said, I raised them well. I was telling people, and you'll go back and see it now, that my breasts weren't even. And they said, well, you shouldn't show your breasts, because I said, well, that's humanity. That's who we are. I want women to feel, you know, my breasts. See, listen. you know, that one of my breasts was bigger than the other, and they were like, wow, they were going to paint my nipple. And they tried, it didn't work because it kept coming rubbing off. But I just felt that it was normal and beautiful. And you know, it helped prepare me to do a film that Kathy Bates did at the Manhattan Theater Club called Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune, where she's nude on stage. I didn't know that. I thought it was a nude suit. But it prepared me to play this character for, it's a Pulitzer Prize play, Terrence McNally. And when Kathy Bates, probably almost 270, maybe 300 pounds, beautiful. That's a love story, and you were enthralled by this beauty and these two characters. You didn't care that she had weight, which, you know, all those haters and weight people that are so stupid about it. I just said, oh my, if I could just bring 50% of my performance to what she's giving. And then I said, well, okay, I've already committed. So I said, is that a nude suit? And they said, no, you're gonna be naked on stage. What? Should I shave? And I said, I'm really, really hairy. It might scare some folks. Maybe you'll let me out of my contract. No. I said, okay. So I did one of the most incredible, Terrence McNally came to see me in it. I won all these awards and accolades, and it was sold out for months, 8 shows a week. Even the matinees where people come and eat tuna fish sandwiches at the 2 o'clock, I didn't mind. But I learned, and then you learn a lot, and it prepared me. And if I hadn't done theater and the richness of theater, I don't think Quentin would have written Jackie Brown for me.
So let's
because you really need to rehearse for him. You got to bring it. And I was afraid that he would ask me to do a nude scene. Oh, I don't know. You know, because as you get older, you know, it's like, but I had to gain weight for it because I wanted to be as close to Kathy Bates' performance as possible. So I put on 40 pounds. It didn't mean anything, you know, because I'm usually 117. But I realized that after meeting Robert De Niro when he was putting on weight to do Raging Bull, I was his wife's friend, and he was at the house eating crazily, you know, to be Jake LaMotta. And I said, I want to gain weight as a female character. And he said, well, I don't know, you know, you're supposed to be skinny to be attractive. I said, you know what, I'm a butt sister. You know, red beans and rice don't miss her. So I'm going to try to bring that. I'm going to try to bring that to the work, you know, and let us all be accepted. But that's why I did the L word. And Kit, you know, I was, everybody was a size 0 and a size 2. And I said, and then we started getting the mail from the haters saying, you know, us gay women all aren't a 0 and a 2. We need somebody who represent. And I said, I'll do it. I can eat. I can eat. I can make a mac and cheese, you know, in a heartbeat. So it gave me 50 years of a great career by just being human, being womanly, having the cramps, you know, whooping your ass, whatever it took, just to be women, just to be a part of who we are that was so suppressed and oppressed for so long. So when I got out there, and I still get out there, and I can't begin to tell you when George Martin calls you and says he wants you to be, you know, a wildcat lead in his animation and do 7 characters, and George R. Martin, that's Game of Thrones. Are you kidding me? I said, George, I just want to cover my face with mud and have my dreadlocks and ride my horses through your scenes and just decapitate everyone. You know, I really want to be in Game of Thrones. Let me be in the last season, just the last week, the 1 episode. I don't care. You know, so he says, I'll think about that. You know, but knowing him, he said, how about just wearing like sandals? No. You know, and I did play a bushwoman in the arena where I was totally nude and stripped and, you know, and so I turned to the audience and everyone like, oh.
Let's talk about Jackie Brown, because I feel like we have to talk about Jackie Brown. This movie.
Oh, you can talk about Jackie Brown, which was Quentin's Foxy Brown.
Right, exactly. So this movie is really about your career. There's so many call-outs.
It is. It really is. In one it's based on Rum Punch, Elmore Leonard, his story, which was great. And Quentin thought this would be his female side of the brain. It would be his Foxy Brown, but more cunning, older, You know, I said, so we get old and we don't do anything? We don't smack anybody, what? You know?
Right.
So he just said, no, you know, I just wanted to show. I said, okay. So with the guy, and I always rubbed him, I always teased him. Oh, so the guys get to smack each other around, but when it comes to a woman, you're like, you know, okay, whatever. So, but anyway, he said, no, I just want to show another side of feminine. I said, that's okay, great. I love it. I don't. No stunts, no more broken bones. You know, I can live through this movie. It's great. Because let me tell you, I didn't have a stunt person when I first started the first 5 movies. I got some owies and broken bones and, you know, crack, you know, you name it. And you feel it when you get older. You really do. So, you know, I tell all the youngins, you know, it's just a movie. Have a stunt double. I didn't have one. It took a long time to develop someone who was crazy as I was to do all the crazy stuff. I jumped horses. You know, I skied, I scuba dived, I did a lot of things. And but bringing it to film, it expanded the imagery of womanhood.
Right.
And people loved that, you know, that we could ride jet skis and do crazy things like the boys. I just want to do what you guys do. I want to do what the boys do.
So what was your collaboration on set? I know that Quentin Tarantino's approach to filmmaking is a little...
There's none. The only thing he allowed me to do is in order, let me explain this to you. In order to be eligible for an Oscar, whether it's best screenplay writer or whatever, you have to stick to the book. If you start to improvise, then it's now a documentary, and you won't be eligible to get an Oscar because it is not on the page. They look at every word on the page if you want to be nominated or be eligible for best screenplay. So otherwise, it's a documentary, expensive one. So the same way with the play. If you go off book, you won't be eligible for a Tony. You have to stick with the book. Every word the actor says has to be on the page. So Quentin realizes that, and so does the investors. And no one could ad-lib. That's why he wanted all of us to. Robert De Niro didn't ad-lib. Sam ad-lib. They let him say the N-word a few times, but he can say it so well. Come on now. It just rolls off the tongue. It was in the script. It was like 8 times, and he said it 32. And Spike Lee tried to say, "Hey, Quentin wrote it 32 times, so white man can't say that and write it like." And so Sam said, "Hey, man, shut up. That's my back end. I can say what I want." And so literally Spike Lee made a little scandal about it. But anyway, so there was one thing that he let me say. He said, "So Pam, so what?" His brain is just. He said, "Okay, so you're gonna slide the back end to what would you say? You know, you wouldn't say like." Right on. No, I wouldn't. It's like, you know, very old school Quentin. So what would you say? I'd say, okay, booyah, with a cherry on top. So he says, okay, say it. I said, are you going to take credit for it? Will I get credit? He says, you can have credit if they ask. Okay, so booyah was that's all I got out of him. Booyah with a cherry on top. So. And he says, it makes me sound like I got flavor. I said, yes, it does, boo. Not the word. So, and then this is this sidebar. I helped get the tax incentive raised to have movies shot in Colorado right before Quentin was looking for Hateful Eight to be shot in Telluride. He's going to drop $44 million, shoot it on 70. I know y'all saw it. It's fantastic. There's a middle of the movie, I'm watching it and like it's authentic and oh wow, I'm so proud of him. So all of a sudden, Sam Jackson comes in, he says, well, you know, well, who was down in the basement? They were down in the basement? I went, the word basement wasn't invented until 1956. I went, Quentin, you should have called me. You should have said root cellar. It ruined it for me. So that's the authenticity that, you know, the writer has to work at, you know, because all y'all gonna say, oh, I ain't no basement, you know, and then the whole energy is gone. So I don't want y'all to do that to me. I'm gonna make sure I come back right. I'm gonna like some authenticity. Yeah, her breast was up here and one was down there, and then her eye went that way and that way, and she gonna be like Jessica Tandy driving Miss Daisy in a couple of weeks. So, I like my age. I'm gonna wear my gray. I'm good. I'm gonna have all my ailments and stuff. I just finished a movie with a Sybil Shepherd and James Brolin called Rose. That is a couple million indie. I love indie films. They're so rich. And then I did one with the late Florence Henderson, Bad Grandmas, and it was like a master class working where I swear we were joined at the hips. I didn't know that woman was 82 years old. She was fantastic and loving and fun and sharing and gifted. It was a Brady mom and Foxy Brown. Come on. Come on. And I used every owie I had. I got to wear my hair gray. It was great. And people said, "Is that Pam Grier grandma?" I said, "Yeah, sure, it's her grandma."
What would you say to young performers today that want to follow in your footsteps? What do they need to do to prepare themselves?
Well, always have something to fall back on, because there's so many real life elements that can change your trajectory, change your vision, change your life, whether it's health. And I had cancer in '88, and I never thought I'd be an actor again. I didn't think I'd be able to remember lines. I had 18 months to live, and I was flying from Colorado to Cedars Cancer Center every month for treatment. And I thought, if I live, I will serve, because I don't think I can remember anything with all the medical and cocktails and pills and treatment, and going down to Chinatown and just, trying to balance my life to see if I will be myself. I don't know what I'll be. We change every 3 months, every 5, 6 months, every year. We do evolve a little, and I didn't know if I would continue. I just finished Above the Law with Steven Seagal. And Steven came in to see me in the hospital, which was great. And when I did Something Wicked This Way Comes, Peter Douglas came in. His parents, Kirk Douglas and Ann, had donated an entire wing to the hospital. And when he heard, because I had done Something Wicked This Way Comes for him, and Disney, and he came in, he'd heard about me being in there, and he walked in with a blender and some ice and some tequila and margarita mix, and he and my mom sat in the room and we made margaritas and got drunk, and I thought I had died, and they were sitting up there and they with the blender going. I went, who is up in here? And I didn't know how much I was loved. I didn't know, and because of my work. And with Stanislavski, he said there's no such thing as the small role. There's no such thing as a small actor. Or every role small role is just as important as a bigger role. So I would tell them to always have something to fall back on, because they're going to change. They may not want to be an actor because, for example, being attacked at 6 and being attacked sexually, and there's a scene with Philip Michael Thomas in Miami Vice where we're supposed to do a love scene, and he was supposed to be on top of me in the sheets, and he's sweaty and looks fantastic, and his jerry curl is just right, and he pushes my hands down, and I have a moment of when I was 6 years old being held down and attacked, and I freaked out. I was like, "You can't hold my hands! You can't hold my hands!" And it was like a mess for at least an hour, and I said, "You can't hold my hands. And I'll tell you about it later, but you can't do that." So whoever's going to play me in my autobiography, not many actors can revisit if they've had the same issue that I had, if they've been attacked. Not all actors can do that. There's roles that you won't take because there might be a scene in a moment where you're attacked. And you can't revisit that because you've experienced that in your real life. For example, Shonda Rhimes wanted me to do How to Get Away with Murder with Joe Morton, where Joe, I'm teaching a college class, he comes in to get information, and they were gonna go back to bed and become lovers again, and then he knows that I know what's going on. He's trying to extract some information, and in the script, they were supposed to get in a fight, and he's supposed to, you threaten me and get the information, and then he's gonna kill me later, and I said, "Shonda, I can't do it. I've experienced this before in real life. So my apologies. I love you. I love Joe. I can't do this scene. I can't do this episode. So I passed. But she understood. So many actresses or actors who have been attacked themselves will not be able to. So I always tell them, you might have to pass on something. You might have to let them know, because you can't take on a role and you said you could do it, and then in the middle of it, after you've shot other scenes, all of a sudden you have a meltdown and you stop the show and they have to fire you and recast, and it causes great, issues, financial, artistic issues. So you have to know your limitations in real life, in business. Do you need to do it to fall back on? And if you get cancer or have some issues, you got to have something to fall back on. Do you have family? Do you have children? And when you have a child, you can't drag for the first 2 or 3 years. You can take that child everywhere and have them, taught. But when it comes to them establishing friendships and a home and stuff, you can't travel. That child is your child first, not your career, even though your career is what supports you financially. So there's a lot of things you have to think about. And you're managing your business, your life. I've been managing being an actor for 50 years, 50. And it's basically for my retirement. And Screen Actors Guild, when you work, they prepare a pension for you that no one can touch. And your insurance is from there, and your family and dependents are covered with that. So our union helps us. So you work, and sometimes you say, I didn't like that. Hey, I had to turn down roles because I could not be attacked. Or when I was asked to test for What's Love Got to Do With It to play Tina Turner, and I said, I know Tina's 5 feet. How am I going to play Tina Turner? I'm 5'9". And they said, I said, who's playing Ike? Lawrence Fishburne. I said, I just saw Lawrence in his one-man play in New York. We both had sandals on, and I looked at him dead in the eyes. And so you want me to wear 4-inch stilettos and dance, rolling on the river? And I'm like, Lawrence, will put your head on my shoulder? Because you're not going to be able to throw my big behind across the room.
I want to encourage people, if they have questions for Pam, please.
I think I've covered quite a bit, but I've given you a lot of food for thought, or drinks for thought.
But I do want to ask you about
there's so much.
Your iconic status. I think one of the things, as a woman of color,
many colors,
icon, what would you say about your experience as a Black actress, as a sort of changing aesthetic at some level in Hollywood around Black beauty, being beautiful? What was that experience?
It's showing, being your brand. Okay. I can play Whoopi, but can Whoopi play me? I've played many different roles. I sing, I dance, I write, I direct. I'm in the Producers Guild, have things to fall back on. But it's doing the work that presents. I have a brand now. And you have to, we're all brands. And when I see Sanaa Lathan or Nia Long, or and I've played the moms of so many actresses, from Tamala Jones to Queen Latifah and Just Right, and Paula Patton. They're all brands. And I've been lucky to have a 50-year career. I don't know if they will. They may have a 20. I don't know if they'll have a longevity that I have. I started creating a brand of saying, I want to show different types of women, not just the sexy, pretty, I don't want to fall behind the comfort. I want to, to be someone who is the antithesis, the antagonist, the crazy. There's so many more roles I would like to do. I always feel that I would love to work with, and I love the fact that Judi Dench, who's wonderful and who's gray, and Helen Mirren, I want to play my age. And a lot of it, it's not seen, but I'll get there. I'll get there. Because they're beautiful. They're smart and beautiful, and the British have a different acceptability to aging women. You know, and I want to see that in our cinema as well. You know, Jessica Tandy was just brilliant. And I see that everyone's starting their brands in their 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, and they'll get there, but bring the stories. And because of film festivals and film schools, they're inspiring all these new narratives and stories and quirkiness and crazy zaniness. We're getting crazier by the day anyway, but we're coming up with great, great, great stories. So the inspiration is the film festivals. You keep our brands going, because after the red carpet premiere, it's done. And it's up to Sundance, Orlando, Toronto, all the film festivals across the country to keep developing, sustaining the brands of the actors and the producers and the directors. Because when we get back on track again, I'm in the series with Robert De Niro and Julianne Moore and Michael Shannon for the David O. Russell series. So the day literally they were going to announce, David Glasser was going to announce me joining the cast of his series, you know, it hit the fan with the Weinstein Company, literally that day. And I really hope it gets back on track, because I would love to work with Robert De Niro and Julianne Moore. I have no idea what I'm going to do, but David O. Russell, the Huckabees, the Silver Linings Playbook, Joy, and American Hustle, you know, and he works like Quentin. He was working with me, developed my character. He'd written already 4 episodes, and I was like, pinch me, David O. Russell. And then it's like, you know, wow, upside the head, like what happened? But if it gets on track, I really look forward to doing that.
Question for the audience, there we go.
Ms. Grier, my name is Dravian Yerby. I'm from Fort Pierce, Florida, and I just want to say that I have much love for you. And if it wasn't for you or Fred Williamson or Richard Roundtree or the late Thelmus Rasulullah, movies wouldn't be great today if it wasn't for you two as well.
Thank you, but that's brand. Those are brands, yeah. And my thank you so much. Are you single?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I'll leave my gun at home.
Oh, yes, ma'am. And,
okay. Yeah, and John Gaines, in the movie, my fairy gay mother, who had me, Tamara Dobson, Richard Roundtree, and Isaac Hayes, and Steve Martin, and John Candy. He had all of us, you know, working and developing our brands and teaching us about. I'm going to make you've done Roger Corman. Now you've done the blaxploitation. Now you're going into mainstream. It's because your box office, people come to see what you do. And so I want to develop your brands. And so he was the one that really helped me to be that businesswoman for 50 years, develop the brand, so that when I go to CBS to bring in pitch a show, Les Moonves is there. You know, Bob Greenblatt of Showtime is saying, Pam, what you got? You know, I bring in stories, and I just wrote a horror movie called Terror from the Bedroom. Ooh, y'all gonna like this one. Yeah, it's gonna scare you. Yeah, Cialis won't work anymore after this. But anyway, it'll be a dry bedroom, I can tell you that. So, but anyway, thank you so much.
We have another
and I really want to bring the humorous side of our lives, you know, the things that we laugh at, the things that make us human and make us whole, and we share and can giggle about. Like, this is like my living room. You know, I'm not kidding. This is like, wow, this is like my barn. You know, everybody's hanging in. Well, that's what we do. People come over. I live in a lovely rural neighborhood, rednecks, rebels, and rattlesnakes. And everyone comes over to see movies and talk about movies. And some people have never flown before. And they said, well, you know, I've never been around a colored person before. And I've never flown, and I've never worked one. You'd be surprised. There's some folks that just haven't gotten out, and they meet me, and like I said, I talk John Deere, and we talk fishing, and we talk about the good odor. We talk about a lot of things that people, they get to know me, and they don't see negative images. They see a woman who moved into their neighborhood, and the buffalo show up one morning, and I got to herd them back, and they love me. and they respect me and I love them and I get to know them. And I've reduced a lot of their fear and ignorance because they thought I would come up and start a meth house. And when I didn't, and when I would plow their driveways before they got up and take my gator and put their trash cans up to their house, and they all waved to me, and it's been like for over 20 years, a really lovely neighborhood. They all talk to me about it. I loved it when President Obama was in office. They asked me, did I have a direct line to him? Could I call him and tell him about, because there was a farm initiative that would rescue them, $40 million, that would help them, because I believe that they should be bringing in organic produce from 30 miles from their farms every day, a farmer's organic market, and they shouldn't have to shut down after the first freeze, because we shouldn't have any other food in our markets but organic foods. And it would provide them with what they do. They're farmers. I'm a part of the Farm Alliance, and without farms, there's no food. And so we have drought and a lot of issues that are going to hit us. We don't have migrants to pick the food. It's going to start rotting in the fields. So there's a lot of issues. I'm on their side. I'm really working with them, with the states, and getting them what they need. So, I'm a part of our community.
A question, lady. Go ahead.
Hi, Pam. My name is Sandra Carr. Can you hear me all right, this mic?
No.
Oh, maybe it's not on.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, girl. She snatched that off like she knew.
I know what's going on. I'll speak loudly.
Go ahead, girl.
It's on, but wait a minute. Yeah. Hello? Yeah, it is. Okay, anyway.
I can hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay. I love Jackie Brown. She was such a powerful woman in that role. Can you tell me a little bit about the chemistry and what it was like to work with a lot of the cast?
Well, with Sam Jackson, I kind of, it's like, Quentin, why would this man walk into my apartment and turn out my lights? Did we have sex before? Did he feel like he could walk into my apartment and turn out the lights? Does he pay the bill? And I turned it on and said, look at this. This is crazy. And so Sam and I was wondering if you guys saw, did we ever have a relationship before? Yeah. Did you feel that? Like maybe we had tried it one night and it didn't work. We were awkward. I felt that. And we became friends after that. And we didn't talk about that, he couldn't get it up. Or maybe my nipples didn't get hard. I don't know. You never know. You think you'd be curtains like, all of a sudden it goes, the day's over. Y'all been there. You've been there before. Like, well, I thought it was gonna be hot and it wasn't. And and this little thing tickled whenever So
I think we got another question over here.
Yeah, come on. If we're gonna have sex, don't have a ring on your goatee. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna cause blisters. So, come on, y'all don't. I wouldn't wear, you don't wear rings when you have sex. You take them off. You don't suck toes with rings on your toes. So. You testifying. You testifying right there. She said, girlfriend, look at her. She's like, I heard that. Well, this is an aiming corner up in here. So,
question.
I would like another question. From this, Friday Foster was another good movie that I like to see you in. Will there ever be a part 2 to the story?
Yeah, it'll probably be Grandma Friday Foster. But, it was based on a comic strip character, so it could be a Megan Good could be the new Friday Foster. I know she was trying to get Foxy Brown going on Hulu. I think she should have used Benny Richburg or myself as a consultant, and I think we could have given her that Foxy Brown that she wanted. I really want her to succeed with that, and I'll be, incorporated in it where she'll be the young Foxy Brown, and I'll be the one that gives her, helps her out, and, so I'm hoping she gets that done, but we don't know. Friday Foster, we'd have to go through the company that owns the character and, all of that. So, but I know they wanted to do a Jackie Brown series. But yeah, it was been writing, but it's a lot of,
Back
stuff,
and forth.
negotiations, and I don't think we can do Jackie Brown because it's Quentin's. Quentin has the rights to that, so it'll have to be. I said, well, just do the Rum Punch character, do a Rum Punch series. It's awesome. Have you read the book? Elmore Leonard, and I love the fact that I could talk to him anytime. Great book, and it could be a great series, Rum Punch. And it'll be my character, ex-pates, we're doing crazy stuff, we're gun runners, we drink rum, I don't know. But it could be really exciting. It's before Jackie.
Right.
Before Jackie Brown. So who was she before she ended with, taking the money from Ordell and getting him killed?
So we got a question over here. Yeah.
I just want to say I watch Jackie Brown probably at least once a year, and I think you're the coolest. So thank you for that great performance. My question is, I saw a documentary recently called Richard Pryor, Omit the Logic, and you're in the documentary. And I just wondered if there was anything you would be willing to share about what it was like to date Richard Pryor in the 70s and what that time was like for you.
Well, it was really... Jay Farrow's going to play Richard Pryor in my autobiography. I think he'll be wonderful. Richard and I learned a lot from him. It was really interesting at a time. I had dated Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It seemed like Kareem, Freddie Prinze, and Richard Pryor were these stars that were reaching their pinnacle, and they're becoming very, very powerful. And I was the target of possibly being their mate, their wife, their mother, their children, and it was blocking my trajectory being an independent woman, and I didn't want to thrive in their spotlight, and I didn't want to be a basketball player's wife and lose my identity, and Richard Pryor's wife and lose my identity. But as you read the book or see the movie, you'll see that I chose these people. I love them dearly, but I chose myself more, and it was my time, and I really wanted to have that opportunity because I was getting it, even though the men got more opportunities than I got, and I saw them sloughing off. I saw them not taking it as seriously as I would as a woman. Women weren't getting as many opportunities, so I just abandoned the relationships. No, I can't. I really want to, be on my own. And Richard was really great. I love working, and I got him he wanted to always ride a bike, and he wanted a bicycle. And when his dogs had attacked his mini horse, that it was a very large pony that Bert Sugarman had given him named Ginger based on the Mudbone folklore, and the dogs attacked the horse, so I put the horse in the back of my Jaguar, and we took it to the vet. The vet said, we got to see this. It was in my four-door Jaguar. There was a horse's head out one side, the tail out the other. We rolling down the 405, Richard Pryor in a bathrobe, crying, and the car's going boing, boing, sparks flying, everything. And white folks driving by, there's a horse in the back of that car. And there's some black people in there that would be, who is that, Richard Pryor? And I'm telling you, we got that horse to the vet. They were all standing out in the parking lot. We saved her life. We got her back home. So Richard knew, because I like horses, he knew that I can lure Pam with horses. And we saved her life. And I knew if she died, Richard would fall off the wagon because he was not drinking. He wasn't doing any drugs. He was having his kids over. It was a family. And even his wife, Jennifer, in the Showtime documentary said I was the one person that was the most effective, a positive effect in his life. And so I knew I had done something. And I loved him dearly. I taught him how to swim, do things he could hang out with his kids. But I realized that he would fall. And I just didn't want him to take me down. I'm a great nurse and a caregiver, but you got to meet me halfway. I can only carry you so far before my back breaks. That's how I was raised. And so I was telling some of the women, who you were saying that question of what can young women do to be successful, to have sustainment? Well, first of all, you hope men and your dad and your uncle and your granddad will vote for equal pay, equal rights, equal pay, equality in pay, or because every uncle, granddad, and brother that comes to you and say, well, baby, can you take care of me? Can I stay? Can you help me out? I said, yeah, I can help you out, but you didn't help me out, so I'm gonna give you a sandwich, but it ain't gonna be any meat in it. I'm gonna take the meat out. or I'm gonna wash 2 legs and an arm, and you're gonna have to wash the remaining one, or I'll wash 1 testicle and you do the other one. Because that's all it's gonna be. Now, if you support me 100%, I will take care of you 100%. But until you bring that up in a way that they kind of laugh and go, yeah, you're right, I didn't think about that. You want me to take, care of me with 78%. I know how hard that's gonna be. So when you bring up those points, then they go, you're right. And so if you only make 78, you gotta come up with that 25 somewhere along the line, because you will have your parents to take care of, and you will have someone sick. I have all the above, all the people I'm taking care of, and friends and neighbors who helped raise me. So I always made sure, you better give me that 100%, because I wasn't playing. I was not playing. There will be no meat in your sandwich. Okay, it'd just be 2 pieces of bread and some lettuce. Go ahead.
We have another question right here.
There's a reverence for you that is resonating throughout the duration of Jackie Brown. And when a production is kind of built around you from the ground up, was there any point during production when you looked around and you were like, it's about fucking time?
Well, I cook for everybody. I'm always cooking that corn chowder or bringing food to the set. I'm always cooking. Everyone's my family, and my youngins and my kids and my, and so I'm always making sure there's like sliced ginger going on. And I walk around, but I'm behind camera watching, and I'm asking how they do this, how you do that, because I'm a student still. Because I want to be a filmmaker, I want to be a director, I want to be able to direct my scenes, myself in the scenes. And it's I come to the set and I go, good morning, everybody. And I'm always there early, and
everyone in this movie, in every scene that you're in, looks completely intimidated by you. And I know that's kind of by design for the movie, but
I drug them.
I felt like that's how it was on set too, right?
Well, yeah, but I had such a great. Come on, Robert De Niro shows up at rehearsal. Who are you? He said, call me Bobby. Okay. And Michael Keaton and Sam Jackson, and to work with the actors, they want to know, because Quentin, if you don't rehearse, you don't get to work with him. Not a lot of actors like to rehearse. They don't like to remember their lines until like the night before. And that's not going to work with Quentin. You won't work with him. And Robert De Niro loves rehearsal. And so does Sam, everybody. And so it just made me feel good, because they said, Pam did nothing but theater. So that, because August Wilson selects you. When I did the piano lesson, I had composed a gospel song for him. And when I did it in Denver at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, and I love August Wilson. Let me tell you, I sang in a group in Denver called the Echoes of Youth, and half of the group was Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I had Philip Bailey, Andrew Wolf, and Larry Dunn, and I played keyboards and drums. My grandfather taught me, so I sang a gospel song for him. And doing that for him, that was my gift to him, because I love doing that. And one year, I just did 4 years of nothing but theater, because I wanted to find out, am I a celebrity or am I an actor? Am I doing it for money, or am I doing it for breast implants? Am I doing it for, as I tweeted, it's like I got to lie down for 12 hours to get a weave done? Whew, I don't know, that takes skill. It really takes skill to get a hair weave. And I really think they should use a massage table so you can lie down, put your face in the hole, and go to sleep. And they can just, sew that hair on the back of your head and then wake me up when it's over. I don't have the patience for that. I need a couple of Hennessy's, to knock my butt out so I can, because I'm a wiggle one. I got energy. I got hormones, that'd be kicking all the time. So, but just the fact that I showed up knowing all my lines. And they said, shoot, we got to know our lines. And Quentin would say, Pam knows her lines. And Sam said, well, I don't know them. So she know hers. So, Sam, well, can you give me a couple of hours? It's the balcony scene where Quentin said, well, Pam, we're kind of ahead of the day. We're ahead of schedule. Do you know your lines for that scene? We're going to do it tomorrow. I said, yeah, I know 'em. I said, come on now. I got to be off book with Robert De Niro or you people. I got to be ready. Even if I don't get to go, I'm ready. So he says, but Sam don't know. I said, well, tell Sam I know my lines. So he went to Sam. He was an instigator. He's like the little ugly brother goes, hey, you know what so-and-so said? You know, your mama looks so ugly. So he went to Sam, so she know her lines. He said, well, he says, well, can you learn your lines? He said, give me a couple hours, I'll learn my lines. So that's how we got Sam to work. But I had to come in gunning. Look at the roles, the Oscars and stuff. I can't be off. I got to know what I'm doing. So I came in gunning, you know, ready to work. And they realized, you know, she's really, I respect them. I'm gonna come in gunning. I'm gonna do everything possible. I'm gonna get there. So we had that rapport. They knew I was ready. And when we get to, Quentin always played music on the set. So we'd be singing and dancing. And when I started with Roger Corman, I was singing gospel songs and stuff. So prepare me when it's gonna be in the movie when I'm sitting with John Lennon. Now I'm an Oscar girl because of building my brand, me and Victoria Principal. And they want me to go to, this is rehearsal. Jack Haley Jr. is the producer, Marty Pacella's the director, here's Peter Lawford, and here is John Lennon and Harry Nilsson. And I'm going, John Lennon, are you sure? And he says, yes. So we're gonna go over to see the Smothers Brothers at the Troubadour. You wanna go, Pam? No, I can't be around a lot of men after being attacked so many times in my life. So I said, no, I'll pass. And I said, is Victoria going? I'll go if she goes. He said, no, she's gonna be with her husband. So I said, oh, Jack, I can't go. He says, Pam, I want you to go and be around these stars. You're a big star, you need to go. I said, Jack, I don't feel comfortable, I'm sorry. He says, I'll make sure nothing happens. I want you to go. So I said, okay. Now that's the Tin Man son, Jack Haley Jr. And he's the executive producer of the Oscars, and I'm in it. And I said, okay, so we get in the limousine, it's John, all of us, and they're drinking and having a ball, and we get to the Troubadour, and we're sitting in an elevated area like you are, and here's the audience, and so John Lennon's drinking, and he says, so Pam, and I'm going, yes, John, how are you? He says, well, I heard a song, and the song goes like this, it's like, I Can't Stand the Rain. I said, oh, it's by Ann Peebles. It's called, I Can't Stand the Rain on my window, brings back those memories. I can't stand the rain. And John says, yes, that's it. I'm saying, and he starts singing, keep on singing. And so he starts playing they hit the table and he's tossing them down. Here he's singing. And so the audience turns around and they're saying, who's singing? And they see John fucking Lennon. And they go ape crazy. John Lennon, yay. Come on up, John, come on, John. He says, keep singing, Pam, keep singing. And so he's singing and I'm harmonizing. We having a great time. And he's talking down, Harry's singing and say, okay, so the Smothers Brothers supposed to come out. I wouldn't come out. If I was him, I would stay in my dressing room. Because John Lennon had everybody in here singing and harmonizing and drinking. It was fantastic. It's like, you know, he was the retired Beatle. Okay, lights are coming down, be quiet. So John says, okay, so we'll watch. So the Smothers Brothers come on, yay, the Smothers Brothers, yay. And they start their banter and they're singing and they're guitaring the banjo and then this. And John turns to me, they're fucking boring. I'm going, come on, Pam, I can't stand the rain. No, John, John, please. Okay, here's this one sister, I knew I shouldn't have gone with all these white men. Something told me not to get in this car with all these white men. So the manager says, John, please don't do that. It's an artist. They're trying to make their comeback. He says, okay, all right, I'll be quiet. So Harry Nilsson says, John's me, the table, all these people back here, Peter Lawford, everybody. And so I'm like, okay, John, shut the fuck up. come on, Pam, they're boring. Fucking John, I can't. John. Next, you know, the manager comes up to John, grabs him by the collar, pulls him over the table. Harry Nielsen's trying to grab his legs. John's starting to hit him. Now Harry's punching. Next thing you know, there's like 10 men punching and tables being thrown, and I'm like the only black chick up here going, oh fuck, oh no. Next thing you know, we're sitting out on the curb with the LAPD. They're taking our stories. So we have to go back to the Oscars, and where I'm sitting there, and it's just me and all these white men. I'm going, I knew I shouldn't have gone. Something told me not to go. And then John Lennon sent me flowers thanking, you know, me for not beating him up. And that was my Oscar night. So it was just time. I had to share that with you because I got to meet with incredible people who did really crazy things, and you get caught up with it, and I survived it. I don't know how, but I remember I won't do that again. You know, I'll tell you what.
Right here.
You've changed my what I was going to say to you several times just listening to you talk.
Oh, I'm sure
First
it's
of all,
like the body snatcher,
First,
right?
yeah, we've gone in several different directions, but emotionally I have to pay tribute to my parents who raised me in a house where you might have been the only person who could get them unified on what a woman was. And the explanation was this, that
Wow.
we were supposed to understand that being feminine was not weakness, that being intelligent wasn't threatening, and that being strong was why you were here. And
Wow.
we claimed you in our household, but we understood clearly that somebody as gifted as you belong to everybody. And I think when I showed up here tonight and I looked around the room, and I don't know if you see it the way I see it, but you are everybody's gift. And it's pretty strong. So let me do this thing. I have this thing that I call a love print, which is a carbon footprint, but carbon seemed too impersonal. And I know that you're a giver, and I know that you're an empath. You feel people, and they feel you. The love print is to leave everything better than how you found it.
Yes.
That's what you do. That's what you've done tonight. I'm going to leave this for you somewhere in this building to make sure you get it. It's not much. It's just a bracelet with a hand in the heart. You act in love, and you're a love in action. So I want to say thank you for a lifetime of your gift. Thank you.
And more to come. Thank you. Wow, how nice.
Another question right here.
It's chicken and waffles for everybody. What can I tell you? You know, and Jack Daniels, it made me a scholar. I tell you, when it came to midterms, boy, you drink a couple of shots of Uncle Jack, and you know, you remember everything. So, yeah.
No.
Yes, you said no. Well, it's Henny now. It's Hennessy. Yes, ma'am. Wow. How could you follow that? It's like, ah.
I guess I'm just gonna ask a question about, you know, your older movies. But my name is Daquisha, and like, I love most of your older films, but all of your films, and you know, kind of getting exposed to that when I was in high school, and like looking at Coffee, which just the one I've seen.
You'll never be the same. I've ruined you for life.
No. It's been awesome, and it's really helped shape the way that I believe about myself and women in general. But because even to this day, I feel like there aren't a lot of other, even black actresses who have done and played the parts that you have. There's not a lot of them. I know Taraji P. Henson just did Proud Mary, and even when I saw that released, I'm like, wow, I'm thinking like, there aren't a lot of, you know, other black actresses who are doing this. And I love Kate Beckinsale because I'm a huge fan of werewolves and vampires, and you see that, but you don't see a lot of, you know, black women. So my question is just that when you were a part of these amazing projects back in, you know, the 70s and doing Coffee and Foxy Brown and Friday Foster, Black Mama, White Mama, all of that, did you realize, or did you even think about, because of the criticism obviously that you were getting back then, that
I
it
didn't
would
get a lot of criticism because the box office was so successful.
Gotcha.
And I think when I just did the work, and you wait and see how you build the audience, who responds to it over and over and over again, then that was the telltale, that was the sign. That was the moment of recognition of she's doing something right. and I will inspire others. But there's one thing that maybe it's cultural. You'll see Anne Hathaway, Charlize Theron, actresses who are comfortable with nudity. Like Anne Hathaway when she did Love and Other Drugs and Monsters with Charlize Theron. A lot of African American actresses aren't as comfortable with nudity, and so that might exclude them because there's not a lot of body doubles, you know, or anyone who, you know, you have to really embrace the role, and not a lot of Black actresses are comfortable. And for another example, when I was doing the L Word, there was an actress who was in Jackie Brown who wanted to be in the L Word and was hired to play Jennifer Beals' gay lover. And it worked out before the yes and the costume, and when she got there, she couldn't kiss Jennifer. She was uncomfortable, and she said it was religious, cultural reasons. Her family wasn't going to, you know, be comfortable with that. So she left, and they had to rehire. So everyone has a different self, and not everyone is comfortable with everything you might assume, whether it's being attacked or rape or gay or cultural or religious dogmas. Some actors just can't, and you have to embody to tell the story. And so you will see that. You will see them feeling, we make a few more steps, someone says, I can do that. And it will happen slowly. It'll be, whether it's indie or on cable, where you can show more, you know, like Homeland is, and Strike Back is like on, you know, they're showing women or everything. You know, very confident. So it's just a matter of time. You'll see that eventually. Very ageist, you know. Right now we're getting into the seniors who are very comfortable with their nudity and their sexuality. You know, there's a film with Diane Keaton that's going to be made, and it's and then there was the film with Tiffany Haddish called The Kitchen. With Melissa McCarthy, and they wanted me to play her mom, and we're still trying to work out the I don't know if we're going to, because I've got other commitments, but you know what our kitchen means. When they said the kitchen, I thought it was the back of my head. You know, y'all know the kitchen back here, you know, it's nappy, you know, so that's why it takes so long to do a hair weave on me, because it takes a few more hours to get through that nap. You know, it's nappy, that's the kitchen. So that's what I thought they were talking about, you know, that's my version of the kitchen. You know, it's like gonna be, you know, my daughter's gonna be in hairstyling, trying to cut through some naps, whatever. But anyway, so you'll see that, and you'll see Taraji doing different things because she's building her brand. You like what she does. You like her fierceness. You like her energy, like Diane Sands, like Eartha Kitt. You know, so many of us are so many different energies, and there's some that are a little more quiet, demure. So, yeah, you'll see more. You'll see a varied type of energies in Asian and African. And there's the women coming from Australia who are half Aborigine and Scottish to come and test to play me. And they look like me, and they're tall, and they got afros, and they've watched every movie I've done, and they're coming gunning. So it's gonna be interesting to see who steps up in there and brings it. You know, it's gonna scare me like, ooh, this is my daughter, you know, shut up, you know. So, and she might be from Australia, she might be from the Outback. So, and that's acceptable.
I think we could stay here all night with you, but
did you bring your jammies? I see they bring the jammies.
We have to say goodbye. Let's give Pam Grier a huge round of applause.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You have to stand up. Stand up. Thank you. Well, enjoy the film festival. Thank you for helping our brands, keeping our stories so rich and inviting and engaging. We all have great stories to tell. And we got youngins coming up that are 10, 11, 12 years old that can't wait to talk about their mamas and what they saw in the bedrooms and what they saw and what they heard. So we just got so much. But thank you. I love the film festivals. And thank you for supporting the film industry. And the sponsors, you know, you can't go do without them. So thank you so much. It's been wonderful.
This way?
You look like he want another hug. I can see right there. I'm taking my gin and going home. So, thank you. Yes, and everybody, you just go home and be safe. But I'm so impressed. This is so nice. I hope to come back with my own movies.